Hi, I'm retired NYPD Detective Vic Ferrari, and welcome to NYPD Through the Looking Glass podcast, where you'll get unique insight into the New York City Police Department. Before we get started, I encourage you to check out my Amazon author page, where you'll find my series of behind-the-scenes NYPD books. They're $10 paperback, $2.99 ebook download, including my latest NYPD Presumption and Dysfunction. This book's getting a lot of good reviews. I'm happy with sales. Again, all my books, $10 paperback, $2.99 ebook download. Christmas is coming. You click on it now. Today's Thursday, you'll probably have it by Monday. $10 Christmas gift. You just wrap it up or throw it in the stocking stuffer. Got a lot to cover today with this Luigi Mangione. Before we get rolling on him, let's go to the New York Times True Crime section. Marine veteran Daniel Penny was acquitted by a Manhattan jury Monday in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely, a lightning rod case that brought light on mayhem plaguing Big Apple subways. Jurors cleared Penny, 26 years old, of Long Island, of criminally negligent homicide after the caught-on-camera fatal encounter on an Uptown F train last year sparked fierce debate about mental illness, public safety, and vigilantism. Not vigilantism. It's not like this guy was running around at night, with an Abraham Lincoln mask and a baseball bat righting wrongs. Guy was on a train, minding his own business. This guy is harassing people on the train. He's threatening to kill people. The guy did what he had to do, and then the Manhattan DA's office is trying to put him in jail. I'm glad that, the jury, they had an honest jury that looked inside and said, this guy, I'd want to be on the train with this guy who would look out for me. Next story. Oh, this is funny. An investigator hired by the NYPD's internal watchdog, despite concerns over a 1972 triple murder conviction, was fired Tuesday, just 8 weeks after starting the new gig, the Post has learned. Ronald Davidson, 69 years old, was fired from the Civilian Complaint Review Board after he filed complaints against officers for refusing to hand them his business card, sources say. But he mostly blamed getting canned on pressure from unions because of his arrest. The investigator hired by the entitled. What can I say? The guy did, I think, close to 40 years in jail or whatever he did. He's looking to work, but, I think he got fired from a college doing security work, so maybe he might want to look into another line of work. I don't know. Maybe that's me. A Florida man is accused of killing his estranged girlfriend by stabbing her up to 70 times during a break-in Friday, exactly 1 month after he was nabbed for assaulting the victim and ordered to stay away from her. So much for restraining orders, right? James Christopher Lindsay, 42 years old, killed 40-year-old Kristen Stevens after breaking into her Cholata home around 1 a.m. when he learned she went on a date with another man, according to the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. The knife-wielding maniac, who was expected to be arraigned on domestic violence battery charge against Stevens the same day of the vicious murder, was found dead in a rollover crash on Fort Christmas Road in Orange County hours after he fled the victim's home, police said. So I was looking into this. So this woman has this guy arrested for domestic violence. Obviously, it's not working. He goes back, he kills her, and then when he tries to flee, I guess he was doing 1,000,000 miles an hour, lost control of his car, and he died. As I often say, I feel bad for her, him, no one will be missed. This story reminds me of something that happened in my childhood. A disgruntled Utah man smashed his car into a storefront of a dealership after he bought it earlier in that day, after he allegedly denied a refund when he discovered his new ride had mechanical issues. Michael Lee Murray, 35 years old, bought a used Subaru Outback from the Tim Dale Mazda South Hone car dealership in Sandy, a city in the Salt Lake City, $4,000 on Monday, according to Fox 13. However, Murray alleged that he was sold a Lemon, a vehicle who had manufacturing issues, jeopardizing his safety soon after he snagged the wheels. Murray returned to the dealership and asked for a refund, but the management told him the car was sold as is and it could not be returned. Murray then exited the dealership, got into his vehicle, and within minutes drove through the front of the building, Sandy City Police Department told Newsweek. A wild video recorded inside the dealership shows Murray driving the car inside the dealership's glass doors and taking out a desk. I told you, Murray shouted as he walked over to the shattered glass, ripped off his jacket, and exited through the building's destroyed doors. Well, my old man, you wouldn't want to sell my father anything. And this was in the early 90s. I guess I was a cop maybe a couple of years. My dad goes and buys a Dodge Shadow. And I don't know, within months, he's starting to have issues with this thing. He's bringing it back to the dealership. They're going back and forth. And I think eventually they told him, "Look, listen, pal, there's nothing we can, there's nothing we can do about it." So my father said, okay. So my father stood outside the dealership, and every time someone would walk inside, he would tell them, "Don't buy this car, their service sucks, blah, blah." And he was out there for about a half hour until I guess one of the salesmen or the management saw him. So they came outside and they told him, "You can't do that." And he goes, "I can't do what?" And they said, "You can't stand out here and tell people not to come into my dealership." So my father says, "I'm going to do it. And if you don't fix my car, I'm coming back tomorrow with a sandwich board like what Wimpy used to wear." He goes, "I'll put oak tag that says this dealership sucks," and yada, yada, yada. They told him to bring the car in and they fixed the issue. But again, my father was, he was old school. One of the last new cars he bought, it might have been that Dodge, again, early 90s. He went with my brother, and my brother tells me a funny story. He says, we're in the dealership, and my father's telling the salesman, "I don't want air conditioning, and I don't want power windows." And the salesman looks at my brother and my father. He thinks he's kidding him. My father says, "No, I don't want it." And the salesman goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "It comes stock." And he goes, "I don't want it." And my father he goes, "Well, why?" And my father said, "Well, what if the power windows break? Then I got to fix it. Or I barely use the AC." So the salesman realized my father wasn't from this world, and he called my brother to the side. He goes, "Listen, does he not understand that this comes off the assembly line like this? It would cost more money to take this stuff out, and I'm not even sure if I could take out the AC because that might pop a code in the computer." And they eventually got it sorted out. But yeah, my dad was difficult to sell a car. I could see him doing something like this. A Florida gamer was arrested Sunday for shooting both his parents, killing his father after the dad reportedly told him to get a job, according to local police. Joseph Voigt, 23 years old, was taken into custody Sunday morning after fleeing his family home, where he allegedly gunned down his father after grieving. Where he allegedly gunned down his father and wounded his mother after his old man was riding his ass about getting a job. Marvin, 63 years old, was found lying dead in the driveway by arriving Bartow police officers. Susan was sitting on a couch, bleeding from several gunshot wounds, including a single gunshot wound to the head, according to the outlet. Susan Voigt, 58 years old, called the police Saturday night and reported her son Joseph had shot her multiple times, including once in the head and killing her husband. So this kid obviously was looking to do his parents in. I know they captured him in Orlando, just outside of Disney World on International Drive. He's not going to be able to play video games where he's going. So on Monday, the alleged killer of UnitedHealthcare worker Brian Thompson was captured in a McDonald's just outside of Altoona, Pennsylvania. Luigi Charles Chuck Mangione was arrested without incident. So now, I've been following this story, and as skillful as this young man was to pull off this murder, he certainly didn't have an exit strategy. For one thing, what I can't get over is he never changed his look. So, I mean, he's got that monobrow that just won't quit. Like, why didn't he, shave off his eyebrows or thin them? Why didn't he dye his hair? Another thing, I mean, he was captured 275 miles outside of New York City. Like, you're going to be hot with a high-profile murder like this. Why not flee the country? So obviously he wasn't thinking straight. I mean, I'm not trying to, help people how to get away with a homicide, but it just makes no sense. So then when he gets arrested, he has the ghost gun. He has this ghost gun on him, which I think they've already linked it to the murder. The silencer is in his backpack. And then he's got several phony driver's licenses, which were the driver's license he's used to travel by bus and secure a room at that youth hostel. So from what I'm reading is he's fighting extradition back to New York City. So extradition works like this. If you're wanted in another jurisdiction in the United States and you get arrested, you go see a judge, you're arraigned on those charges, and then usually so if it's like a felony, whatever agency is going to send detectives, like with the feds, it's going to be the U.S. Marshals that's going to transport you back to wherever the case originated from. But if it's like a state charge, so say for argument's sake, you did an armed robbery in Florida, and you get grabbed in Oklahoma for whatever, you get arrested for nonsense or you pop a warrant or whatever. What happens is that you're going to be held in the city jail in Oklahoma, and then through your prints, the agency that's got the warrant out on you is going to send usually a couple of detectives, and they're going to pick you up, put you on a plane, and fly you back. And what they have is called an extradition hearing, and it's usually before a judge or a magistrate. If you say, I'm fighting extradition, you're saying that whatever crime that they're alleging that they want to bring you back and prosecute is unjust, or there's something wrong with the case. So what happens is the paperwork is sent to a judge or a magistrate. He reviews it and is going to say, well, this isn't marijuana or something ridiculous. This is a heavy duty crime. You're going back. So it's just a formality. The only thing that is going to do is going to buy this kid some time in a county jail in Pennsylvania, which I'm sure is a hell of a lot nicer than where he's going, because we're going to get into where he's going to be housed and everything like that. But I saw a video of him getting led into the precinct. You got a bunch of cops around him. He's in the orange jumpsuit. I guess I guess they put him in the jumpsuit for the hearing. And he's walking around like a tough guy. Like, they got him all cuffed up. They're walking him into the back of where they're bringing him in. And he starts yelling and pretending like he's fighting with the cops, and they had to put their hands on him and kind of basically shove him in the door. And he's yelling this stuff. But he can act like a tough guy now. But once he goes, and I'm guessing if he's charged with state charges in New York, so if it doesn't go federal, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is going to prosecute it. He's going to Rikers Island. So once he goes into the system, and this kid comes from a wealthy family, I can guarantee you he's going to get extorted. Like, yeah, he's got people writing fan mail and romanticizing about him right now about what a great guy is. In jail, he's going to be a target, because they're going to find out that this kid comes from money. And it's going to be, hey, Luigi, tell you what, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to make sure no one messes with you. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the maximum. You're going to have somebody in your family put money in my commissary account so I can buy chips and soda and what other crap that you can buy inside a jail. And if he doesn't, he's going to catch a beating. So, and he'll probably be extorted by a couple of people in jail. And it doesn't matter where he goes. That's just the way it is. Another thing I noticed with this, they showed a photo of him after he was inside the jail. They definitely have him on a suicide watch, because they have, and whoever was watching this and knows about Department of Correction procedure would know a hell of a lot better than me. But he's wearing suicide clothes. It's like a one-piece gown that you can't tear to hang yourself. So I guess they don't want him to be Epsteined before this thing goes. And what I'm seeing is all these stories that are talking about this kid says the same thing. He's intelligent. Wealthy kid, supposedly has an IQ of north of 130, Ivy League education. So why do this sort of thing? So in my opinion, this kid was radicalized in college. I've seen photos of his family and everything. It looks like a decent family. He's got one sister that's a doctor. I'm guessing he went into college and just started listening to some of these professors. If you want to change the world, you don't go around bumping people off. You vote. You join a political party. You organize. You try to get your guy in power. You don't go around bumping people off, because what's next? I see people go, well, the healthcare industry is out of control. Absolutely. I can tell stories, and it would bore you to tears, but I've had a couple of health issues where my insurance company is making me jump through hoops. They're telling me one doctor is approved. I go to that doctor. I don't take that insurance. They bounce you around. I get it. I am no fan of the insurance companies, but I mean, to take matters into your own hands and kill some guy, I'm just not on board with that. Here's another thing. He's saying that, it's because he had this back injury and he had to have surgery. Well, this is before he's 26 years old, and correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you still on your parents' insurance plan? And his parents are both wealthy, so I'm not sure, but I got a good feeling that I think his medical bills were taken care of by his family. And here's another ironic thing. His father owns several nursing homes. So his dad is in the healthcare industry. So I don't understand why this kid would try to take things out against the same type of organization that his father runs, unless he's got a hard-on for his father. I don't know. His family hadn't heard from him in months. His mother, who was so distraught looking for him, tried filing a missing persons report in Hawaii after he drops off the face of the earth. And this kind of reminds me of this. I've covered it on prior podcasts. This Hana Kobayashi, the woman who just turned up alive and well in Mexico. She's been missing for weeks. And then her father jumps off a structure, I think at LAX, and commits suicide because he doesn't know what happened to his daughter. These are very selfish people. If you have loved ones that care about you, you don't pull this sort of thing. I'm going to unplug myself from reality because I can't deal with society. And then you cause everybody that cares about you great pain. It's just selfish to me. And as the story gets crazier, Luigi Mangione's alleged manifesto praises the Unabomber. And then now that makes the Unabomber's brother come out of the woodwork because the Unabomber's dead, but his brother, I think his name is David Kaczynski, he's on CNN giving his take on things. Now, this guy turned his brother in after his wife read Ted Kaczynski's manifesto, recognizing his writing. And I get it. He was a madman. He had to be stopped. Absolutely. But like, I was thinking about this. I'm saying, if I did something outrageous like that and the cops were looking for me, would my brother turn me in? That I don't know. You guys have met my brother Fredo on this show, but I could definitely see my sister-in-law nodding her head as Steve Cross from 60 Minutes was asking her softball questions about me. Oh, and the name of the company, the insurance company his father owns is Lorien Health Services, a company he founded in 1977. So how's this case going to get prosecuted? Will it be the Manhattan DA's office or the Southern District of New York? So if Manhattan takes the case, Luigi is going to go first to the Tombs, where he's going to get arraigned. Then he's going to go to Rikers Island. Then there's no way he's making bail. I mean, I know his family comes from means. There's not a judge that's going to let this kid out on bail. He's going to get extorted. Rikers Island is a rough place. I think it's still open. I know they were trying to close it, but I don't think they could. It's on an island. It's an all-day thing to go visit somebody there. He's going to be miserable. If the feds take the case, Luigi's going to be housed in either MDC in Lower Manhattan, which is a couple of blocks from the courthouse. That's where Epstein committed suicide. That's a filthy, dirty place. Everything I've read about it, there are rats. Or he could wind up in MDC, which is a converted warehouse where, I mean, that place is supposedly packed with federal inmates. So it's not going to be easy for him while he's waiting for this thing, which is going to probably take years unless he just takes a plea. But I doubt it, because with the kind of money his parents have, if they're going to represent him and they're going to try to help him, which most families would, they're going to get him. He's going to have legal experts. He's going to have a team of attorneys. He's going to have psychiatrists. Maybe they're going to go for the insanity defense. They're going to have all sorts of experts testifying to the video. Unless he takes a guilty plea right out of the box, this is going to go on for a long time. It'll die down for a while, and then once the hearings start and everything, this will be a major news piece. In my opinion, it's history repeating itself. For those of you that are old enough to remember the 1970s, that's when children of privilege took it upon themselves to try to start a revolution. So you had groups like the Weather Underground, the SBLA. That was the gang that kidnapped Patty Hearst and held her for ransom, and then supposedly she joined up with them and started robbing banks. Most of these organizations from the 1970s were composed of graduate students who waged war in the United States. People like the late Marilyn Jean Buck, Bernardine Dorn, William Ayres, Susan Rosenberg. For those of you that are interested in these radicals that went, to these Ivy League schools and then started setting off bombs and doing assassinations, there's a really great DVD and documentary. It's called The Weather Underground. These people now, they're out. They're giving interviews and stuff. They're academics. So I'll give you some more of these people. So then you had Kathy Bodine and David Gilbert. These two with the Weather Underground. Then afterwards, they kind of splintered off. I think it was with the BLA or the Black Panthers. They get involved in an armored car heist in Nanuet, New York, that took the lives of two cops and an armored car driver. Both eventually were paroled. As soon as Kathy Bodine got out, she was named adjunct professor at Columbia University. So imagine sending your kids to school and the woman that was involved in an armored car robbery and a bomb went off in her building in Lower Manhattan years earlier. that they were assembling to do God knows what is teaching your kid. And their son is Chesa Boudin, the non-prosecuting attorney from San Francisco who was recently recalled. Then you got the FALN bombers, the Puerto Rican radical group. They set off bombs all around New York City. They blinded a cop. Bill Clinton pardoned a lot of them. And I'm going to call it what it is. Leftist radicals will always take care of their own. They will always, when they're sentenced and sent away, they'll have attorneys pro bono writing countless appeals to try to get them out, writing letters to politicians to get them pardoned. And they eventually, at some point, like I said, the people that I just named, somehow, some way, after spending decades in prison for committing these awful, violent crimes, they get out. Now, on the other side of the coin, and I'm not, trust me when I tell you, I think anybody that commits these crimes should be in jail for the rest of their life. But on the other side of the coin, you get some lunatic from the Christian right, like domestic terrorist Eric Rudolph. He was the bomber of gay bars, abortion clinics, and they called him the Centennial Bomber. He was the guy that after he set off these bombs, he was living in the woods somewhere, I think in North Carolina, and they caught him. Now, this guy was sentenced to life in prison. I think he should have gotten the death penalty, quite honestly, but he was sentenced to life in prison. He's spending all his time at the ADX Supermax in Florence, Colorado. I'm fine with it. But mark my words, no one is going to file an appeal for this guy or try to get him pardoned, and rightfully so. The left, they always take care of their own. So, you know, I don't like to make this a political show, but I guess the point I'm trying to make of this long-winded conversation is, mark my words, Louis Mangione, 26 years old, if he is convicted of these crimes, if he did commit these crimes, if he's sentenced for these crimes, I might not see it in my lifetime. I'm 58 years old, but mark my words, he will get out of prison at some point. He'll be an old man, and he'll probably, with his background, have a job waiting for him teaching somewhere. I don't agree with it. I don't understand it, but that's my 2 cents. So as always, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, especially our listeners in Melbourne, Australia, Denver, Colorado, Kansas City, Missouri, Jacksonville, Florida, Castle, Delaware, and of course, all my friends in the New York City area. I greatly appreciate it, the 5 boroughs. I through YouTube and my other podcast outlets, I can see who's listening, and I really appreciate the support. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you work in law enforcement or have an interesting criminal background, like to be a guest on the show, please drop me a note on Twitter or Instagram at VicFerrari50. We'll talk. Maybe I'll get you on the show. If you enjoy the content, check out my Amazon author page. Type in my name, Vic Ferrari Like the Car, where you can preview all my NYPD books for free, including NYPD Presumption and Dysfunction, and like the books I got over my shoulder there. Again, they're $10 paperback. Christmas is coming. It's one click. It comes to your door. You don't even have to wrap the thing. Just put it in one of those little baskets with the little paper and stuff. What else? I hope everybody has a safe week. Again, Christmas is coming, so please don't drink and drive. It's not worth it. A DUI is going to ruin your holidays or even your life. I hate to sound, like a wet blanket, but I working in law enforcement, I see what happens to people that aren't used to being locked up or going to jail, and then they make one stupid mistake and their life changes. So again, I want to thank everybody again. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.